You are now entering the Thick Goddess Energy Morning Show. We in the building. High priestess in the building, didn't let my fears kill me. Transmuted my pain in that cleanse in the rain. Found out I was working and I conquered my demons. I accepted my purpose and the goddess I became. Good morning. Good morning. I hope everybody's doing good. This is your Thick Goddess Energy Morning Show. My chair won't stay up, so apparently that's going to be my level of excitement today. This chair doesn't freaking stay in place. So this is your Thick Goddess Energy Morning Show. I am your host, Ariana, formerly known as Divine Moon Goddess, you guys. I am putting my government name out there. Good morning, Latoya. Hopefully you guys had a good weekend. It's super cold, and you guys know I live in Florida, but it's still cold. I think it's like 60 degrees right now in my house, and I'm like so over it. So I'm trying to warm up. And I'm just gonna like try to go from here because I just want to put go in my bed and hibernate for a while. That's kind of where I'm at. It's kind of where I'm at with this weather. So hopefully you guys are warm and you are vibing. And don't ask me what my hair is doing, y'all. I don't know today. I'm just gonna be like, whatever. All right. It's freezing in Lakeland. Yeah, it is freezing. And it was freezing last night. And I'm just over it. I'm like, okay, can we get our nice 70s weather back? I think maybe today we'll go to 70, but my house inside is freezing cold. So warming myself up. All right, so today I'm like, it's gonna annoy me. The little hair is gonna annoy me. You live in Michigan. Oh Lord. Yeah, see, I don't know how you guys can do it up there in the good morning, Hope. Good morning, Evelyn, Becky. I don't know who that is in the tribe. It says Facebook user. Good morning, Tiffany. Good morning, Renee. I don't know how you guys do it up in these cold ass fucking states. I personally would die. Just saying, I would die. Good morning, Ryan. I would die. I would. It just wouldn't happen. So this morning, I wanted to talk about depression. New Jersey is ridiculous. I bet. I bet. I was born in December, but I was born in California. You know what? My chair is just not going to work with me today, so I'll just lower my camera. Yeah. Well, most of the days outside it's not bad because it's 70 is not bad, but in the morning it's like 50, 60. I think it's like 60s. I think I'm exaggerating a little bit. On my thermostat, I think it says 60 something, but for me that's freezing cold. I like the 70s. So anything beyond or below 70 is enough. It's too cold. It's too cold. My chair is really gonna annoy me today. All right, so depression. Yes, we're talking about depression. No, I'm not gonna have you cry. But one of the things I wanted to talk about and bring up depression is why we get so stuck in it. We get so stuck in a depressive state. And there's a couple things. I'm not a psychologist, but I am someone who's struggled with depression all her life. And so, I'm at a phase in my life where, it doesn't hit me as bad as it used to, but there are times where I have that kind of depression will creep up. All right, y'all. So I'm just not feeling my hair this morning. Okay. Bear with me. All right. Um, just okay. Good morning, Debbie. It's 19 degrees where you're at, Renee. Oh, okay. Anyway, so depression. Depression starts and happens with a lot of different things, and a lot of people don't even experience depression. There's a lot of people that are just like, well, I don't even know what depression looks like. And there is no look to depression. Everybody thinks depression looks like you're just moping and you're just sad. And I think anybody who's really gone through depression knows that you will put a mask on to everybody else and pretend that you're okay, right? So there's these moments of time where you're dying inside for whatever reason is going on in your you're dying inside. And so you're telling yourself, nope, I'm okay, I'm okay. But your body, your mind, your heart, whatever's going on is like, no, you're not okay. You're not okay. Good morning, Shondell. I don't think they did. Boo. I think you got filtered. Good morning, Lucinda. So, doesn't matter how you get there. I mean, there's a long list of fucking depression, right? From not being happy with our lives, not being happy with our job, not being happy with what we've created, because essentially we've created our own lives, right? So there's sometimes we get to this point where we're looking around and things aren't where we want it to be. They're not as happy as we want it to be. Maybe we're not. As successful as we want to be. So there's this drop in our inner core, right? Ooh. Yeah, see, it is cold. And I know at night and in the morning, like early morning, I know it's dropping like that 40, 50s. I just don't go out at that time, so I ain't fucking with it. Your birthday, Debbie. Part of it is because of not being in the moment. Part of it is not being in the moment because normally depression is coming from shit that's happened or what's going to happen. Oh, your mom's birthday. That's more of grief than depression, boo, because you still have this grief. And there's no time limit on grief. There's not like, oh, today, I'm supposed to be over it. No, there's no time limit on grief. I think grief just we get better at coping with it, but I don't think there's a time limit, right? Um, but depression is more of not, I do believe it's not being in the moment. And I do believe it's getting caught in the what happened, right? Like the shit that happened, the people who hurt you, the shit that hasn't gone right in your life. And then if something doesn't go right now, right? Then we fall into this space of triggering us back to what was. Nothing ever happens for me, or nothing ever goes right, or there's always something that happens, right? And so we go through these moments of going back into that sad place, that depressive state. Now, some people don't understand why they go back to these depressive states. I will tell you, there were years that I could not understand why I kept taking myself back to this very sad, depressive state of mind that was basically killing me, right? Feeling like shit. Why was I going back to this space? And I will tell you, it's because it's all I knew. At one point, it was all I knew. Like, I didn't know how to truly be happy because most of my life I put a mask on and was pretending, right? I was pretending to be happy. I was pretending to be okay. I had to be the strong one. I had to be the rock of the family. I had, there was all these things I told myself. And when you find yourself doing that, saying, no, I have to be strong for the kids, and I have to be strong for my partner, or I have to be strong for, my family, you then don't honor your emotions. You don't honor your feelings. You're not honoring yourself inside. And so you start pushing down what you truly am going through in this moment to be what you think everybody else needs. And I think that that's where we have to take that moment and stop and say, no, I need to honor myself in this moment. I need to honor, what I'm feeling in this moment, and then ask myself why, and work through it. The other part of depression, I feel like people are scared to ask the questions of the whys behind it. Um, and I don't know why we're so afraid. Like, I think whether it's mainstream media or mental health, the shitty mental health facilitators out there, we get into this very afraid of what's going on with us. And so we just kind of, that's normal. And I'll just kind of be over here, right? Depression hits me when I dwell on past issues. I know now I need not dwell on that. Exactly. Biggest thing with depression is it's stemming from what happened. Or you are too far into the future that you don't think your life is successful. I don't have the kids that I want. I didn't, I'm not a Fortune 500 fucking, boss, or whatever. You're way too far in the future and you're not an success, right? So you're putting yourself down, or you're too far in the past where you're like constantly like, oh my God, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. I'm running out of time. And so the depression is creeping up. So watch your thoughts, right? Your thoughts are everything. Hey, Katrina, good morning. Your thoughts are gonna say, what is my day gonna be like? And you know the term of waking up on the wrong side of the bed, right? We all know this term. When you get up, before you're getting up. Now, some of you guys might be clicking on the clicking on the snooze button 20 times before you get up. That's an indication right there that you're not happy. You're struggling to get up. You're struggling with your routine. you know Now there's times when we're tired. I'm not going to say there's not times that we're not tired, but for the most part you should be, hear the alarm, jump up, getting ready to go. If you find yourself struggling, you need to look at that. Why am I struggling to get up? Why am I struggling at the beginning of my day? In those few minutes before you get out of bed, what are your thoughts? Are you rushing that you can't even sit and think and process before you get out of bed? Are you taking that moment to just love yourself, tell yourself some good things, have some good thoughts, rub your belly if needed? Good morning, Sierra. Are you taking a few moments before you jump out of that bed to adjust and see, like, where am I? How's my day? What do I feel in this moment? Because that is like a big, huge chunk of your day. What is your morning routine? What are you doing when you get up? What are you doing in those moments of waking up? Do you grab your phone first thing before you even get out of the bed? Do you, there's all of these things. So, depression comes from many, many, many different things. It's what are we doing to counteract it? What are we doing to work on it? What are we doing to kind of say, okay, if this is not, if this doesn't feel good anymore, if it doesn't, what am I doing? What am I changing in my routine so that I can feel better, so that I can wake up with a little bit more energy, so that I can wake up with a smile, right? Hey Angela, good morning. You snooze, but you do breathing exercises. Yeah. I do snooze. I've been a snoozer for like a million years. Um, and like right now, it's cold as fuck. So I'm like, no, I'm not getting up. I'm sorry. It's too cold. I'm not getting out of my bed. Um, and then there's times where, I set my alarm way earlier than what I need to get up. I don't need to get up earlier than what I set it, but I'll set it just to say, let's try this. Let's try. Let's see if we're going to get up, right? And then I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not getting up. Nope, it's too cold. Um, but I will tell you that I do process my dreams before I get out of bed. I will process whatever you can hold on to because a lot of your dreams will dissipate, right? The second you're getting up, getting done. Some of them you will hold on to, but not all of them. So most of the time, I'm trying to process my dreams, my dream state that I remember, and just trying to hold on to whatever I can for information, whether it was downloads, whether it was just like my subconscious, whatever was going on, I'm trying to process that. And then I'll take a few minutes to just rub my belly and say, I love my body. I think you need to take those times to really just tell your physical body that, you love your body, you love what it does for you, despite the shit that you do to it, right? Yeah. I actually go to bed to meditation music, and most of the time, if my phone doesn't die, because I'm always playing it on my phone, it'll be playing when I wake up. But there are times where my phone is dead, and that's kind of the best time because there's nothing going on. There's no sound. There's no ringing. There's no nothing. So once you get out of bed, good morning, Trina. Once you get out of bed, then what do you do? Okay, you go get dressed, or make your breakfast, or if you're fucking rushing, like a lot of people, right? You're skipping a bunch of steps. Instead of taking the time to slowly get up, to slowly brush your teeth or whatever it is, wash your face, take a shower, whatever your morning is, right? So instead of taking the time, a lot of people are just wanting to sleep. The sleep state is better than reality sometimes, right? So when you notice when you're hitting depression is when you don't want to be in your reality. You would rather be in your sleep state. That's one of the main things, is to realize that you don't want to get up. You sleeping, overly sleeping, right? On your days off, you're overly sleeping. So best thing, there's all types of, and I'm not going to tell no one not to go seek, their mental health facility, or, psychiatrist, therapist, or any of that stuff. I think you guys should do what you feel is necessary for you, or if you need medications to assist you or anything like that, do it. There was a time in my life where I had to get on meds, because I was just at a very bad place and I could not get out of it. And like I said, a lot of it is because we do not honor our feelings and emotions, and that shit gets trapped down inside. And so sometimes it's not just about thinking about the past. You feel the past. Um, Good morning, Amber. And you don't realize that that's what you're feeling. You don't realize that all of a sudden I'm sad as fuck today. Why? And we'll ask these questions like, why? And not really look at it like, okay, this is something that I did not handle. This is something that I did not heal, because your healing, I think, goes hand in hand with depression. Every time I've slipped back in depression, it's because something unhealed has kind of crept back up for me, and then it finally comes out like, oh shit, this is what it is. This is what I'm going through. This is what I'm purging. This is what I'm working through. And we have to get to this point where you can honor what you're going through. You can honor your feelings. You can honor your misery. Shit, honor it, and address it, because the worst thing you could do is just slide it under the rug and say, oh well, I'm good. I'm good. And say I have to be strong. And I hear it all the time. And I used to be one of the people who was like, oh, I had to be strong for everyone else, especially my daughter. Like I had to be strong for them. I was a single mom. I had to show them what a strong woman was. And I think you forget that you're also fucking human. You're not superhuman. Like there's gonna be times where you break down. There's gonna be times when you cry. There's gonna be times when you're fucking sad, right? Yeah. Well, some people are the opposite where they can't sleep. So depression isn't always oversleeping. Sometimes it is not sleeping, insomnia, being not being restless, not being able to get that good night's sleep because you're restless. And that's when you're thinking of way too much shit, right? Your mind is just going, going, going. Right. Those times when you don't, it's more of you don't realize why you're crying and why you're sad because you actually know, but you're not taking the time to get deeper inside. Like you're not really taking that time to get deeper inside. And so when you don't take the time to get deeper inside, you're just going to be like, I don't know why I'm sad. I don't know why I'm crying. I don't know why I feel this way. That's bullshit though. I can tell you that is bullshit. We have to start to take that time. If you really sit and ask yourself, why am I sad in this moment? Listen to yourself. You will fucking hear why. And you will trip out about like, really, that's what it is? Because you've buried something, you've pushed something down there, and your body keeps trying to release it, and you keep trying to fight it, right? Good morning, Ian. Yeah. I've done both. I used to be very restless, like either, there was times where I overslept and there was times where I was very restless and I couldn't fall asleep. And then when I did fall asleep, I'd be right back up at like 3, 4 in the morning, that 3, 4 in the morning wake up call from spirit. And then I would, toss and turn again and then fall asleep. So one of the things during your day is, one, are you getting some type of like exercise? And I mean, not just going to the gym, not just, going, if you can't, take a walk. All right. Something that gets your blood pumping. Dance. How many of you can just turn on some music and dance in your home? You don't got to go to the gym. You don't got to take a walk. Turn on some fucking music and just move your hips and feel the music. Okay. There's got to be some type of movement, right? Something to release some of the shit that you got in there. Grief, we talked a little bit about grief. Now, grief is different from depression. But I will tell you that there are parts of the depression that can be linked to your grief. Especially when we start thinking too much about death, right? And the unknown, and where is everyone, and is my people okay? And if you get too into not being able to work through your grief, like you're not accepting the death of someone, you're not accepting or working through those moments, yes, your depression can be connected. It could be linked, should I say. Let's see if my chair stays up because it's annoying the hell out of me. um my bad, y'all. We're just gonna leave it alone. Why I fuck it up, right? I'm just gonna leave it be. um, person went 2/3, so can't listen to music all the time. Well, it doesn't have to be all the time. It it doesn't have to be all the time. But oh my god, this chair is gonna fucking drive me crazy today. Just gonna leave it. Just gonna leave it. Whatever, whatever. All right. But try to find at least one part of the day where you put on that music and you're able to dance and you're able to, you know, move your body in some way. Good morning, Melanie. Yeah, depression you can feel exhausted with depression. You can feel like your body is hurting with depression. Depression comes in, just like they talk about stress. You can't see it, but it's there, right? It's this energy, it's this looming energy. But we have the power to release it. You got to find out what is it. There's so many levels of depression. Depression isn't just one thing, right? It's what everyone's depression is different and it creeps in differently. I can tell you guys some of my depression was it's all I knew. So I got very comfortable with going back to that depressive state because it was familiar and it made me feel. So I want you guys to look at that. If you are going through moments where you are trying to get a feeling, you're trying to feel something in this life, you could be going back to these depressive states just for that, because sometimes we don't have anything else to replace it with. This is where you have to start to create joy in your life. What are your hobbies? Things that make you happy, right? Oh, I think yoga is a huge help. And if you guys want to learn chakra yoga, let me know. I do have some classes. They're pre-recorded. Chakra yoga. I love chakra yoga. I was never a yoga fan, but I turned into a chakra yoga fan really quickly last year when we started it. Um, but I think, yeah, it is definitely the perception of the person, because everybody's level of depression is different, and there's so many different things. Like what I would feel like, okay, if I'm like, oh my God, that's not that bad. And to the next person, maybe it is that bad, you know? Maybe it's that I didn't get that job, so now I feel like shit, and now I've made myself feel worthless. But that also stems from not being taught how to take rejection, not being taught how to accept failure. We think failure is this fucking we feel failure is this horrible word. Oh my God, I can't fail. And it's like, no, we all fail. Everyone fails. Everyone fails at something. It's okay. As long as you don't lay down and never get back up, right? Yoga hurts your joints. Yeah, I mean, there's lower level yoga. I don't do a lot of crazy points in yoga, but there are some that I feel like are very that help my body. Especially got me prepped and ready to do like what is it? The planks, because now I can do planks, but the yoga is what helped me get to that point. Yeah, chakra yoga is pretty dope. I like it. I do have it available on my website. If you go under shop, there's a class that says chakra yoga. It's like 15 a class. And we do 8 classes. So we do every class is on a particular chakra, and then the last one ties them all together. You know what? I think meditation is a really big help. I can tell you, I was a person who not only was very depressive, I was very anxious. I had a lot of anxiety. This is a couple years back. So it's been a few years since I've been like truly anxious or had that problem. But I used to be too much into the future of what was coming. That was the anxiety, always thinking about what's coming, and always had a negative connotation to what was coming, right? So if you see you're always worried about tomorrow, you're always worried about, what's going to happen. You kind of get lost in that. Yeah, exactly. And I think I think the masks are the biggest thing. I was someone you could never tell I was going through anything. I had this poker face. And I'm not a good actor. I'm not an actress, but when it came to being strong for my family or like going to work, I used to, as soon as I got to the door of my job, that mask came on and you couldn't tell what I was going through unless I told you. You did not no one knew what I was going through because I would be chipper and I would be, doing my thing, and I would just be, in my energy, unless you really, 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 really like knew me, then you'd know like something's wrong, right? But that's not healthy. That's not fucking healthy. You're just going through the emotions every day and you're not looking at the reason why you feel the way that you feel. Again, we go back to not honoring your feelings and emotions, not honoring what are you going through in this moment. So if you're not honoring yourself, okay, what do? You just stay or you go deeper into a depression, right? I may do some at the end of this, but probably not until later tonight. I don't know. Um, so again, depression comes in so many waves. The biggest thing is to start to focus on now, today. What can I work on today? What can I focus on today? What can I do? What can I actually get done today? Um, where am I at emotionally today? How can I honor myself today? You can't worry about past. Past is past. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter how many times you say, I shoulda, coulda, woulda. It's not going to fucking change the past. It just isn't. That's something that we have to accept. And until you can get to that point where you truly accept it, you will keep going through these very depressive states that keep coming up for you, right? And the part with the future, you can't, today is going to determine your future. Let me say it again. Today will determine your future. So if you don't understand that or get that in your brain or start to focus like, oh shit, what I do today is going to shape my future. If you don't worry about today, this is where the present moment is everything. That's where you have to get into. Stop worrying about tomorrow, who's going to pass tomorrow, who's going to die tomorrow. We don't know. You don't have that information. Do not fucking stress yourself off on shit that you don't know, right? All you could do is today. If you're that worried about people passing away, call them. Call them, reach out. Hi, I love you. While you still have the moment to rectify situations, to clear up misunderstandings, do it. We get into these spaces and then we create our suffering where I think I have a show already that we talked about suffering. I might do it again because I think it's something that we do on a daily basis. We do it all the time where we create this suffering inside of ourselves. A lot of us feel like even if it's our karma, we feel like we got to suffer, and you don't have to suffer. There are some lessons to be learned, but our creator energy is never here to just make us suffer in our life, and we actually create more suffering than what we need. Okay, I'm doing good. Tara, how are you? And how famous are you? I don't know. How famous do you want to be? Some people are depressed, and it's like, if you think about it, you're like, I'm depressed on some shit that happened before that I can't change. Why am I still depressed about this? Why am I letting it get me there? And I will tell you, if you're depressed about anything from the past, it's all whatever emotions you have not dealt with or feelings you haven't dealt with. Of course, our guilt, our shame, all of that shit kind of ties into it. But the biggest thing is recognizing if you keep taking yourself to that place because you like how it feels. I want you guys to really understand that because even with our past, even what we've been through, a lot of people have been able to work through a lot of their stuff, right? They don't let it get to them in that way. They're done, they're over, they've worked through it, they're good. And a lot of us, and I think a lot of people don't realize that we go back to these places of depression because you can intensely feel, even if it's bad. Um, and if you get caught and you're not realizing that you're looking to feel, instead of finding these happy ways to feel, you go back to what you knew. You know the depression, you know the sadness, you know that part of you. It's easy to tap into that. You have it, right? So it's that crazy part of you. So remember that if you keep going back to the same place, you might be tethering back because you know it, it's familiar, and you know how to tap into it. Start trying to find the joy and the happiness to tap into. Because once you shift and you're shifting into that, the joy, happiness of the heart space, creator energy, that's a huge shift for you. That starts to open up this different feeling. It's fucking amazing. But if you've lived a life with a lot of turmoil and sadness and shit, you tend to go back to what you know. That's all you know. No one's ever taught you different. No one's ever taught you to tap into the love energy. No one's ever taught you to tap into the joy energy. So you sit going back and back and back to the darkness because the darkness is what you know. Um, And I don't believe we have one spiritual awakening. I think we have levels. It's like a game. It's like a game. It's we got levels. You're at level whatever. If you guys saw my tribe talk Friday night, we talked about this. We talked about the levels, and there's levels to get to. And every time we're going through another, like every year, I go through the same thing where my body's changing, my ascension level's changing, and I go through these very dark moments, and I'm like, "What is this?" And my body is purging some more shit. And so, what I've learned to do is honor it, not let it take me to this place of sadness and depression where I can't get out of bed and I feel like my life is shit. And but I do go through these moments every year where I feel a little lost, and I feel like, and I have to reevaluate, like, am I in the place that I'm supposed to be? Is this the path still? Is this the way that I'm supposed to be going? But I don't let it get to me in such a way where I'm down. We have to remember that, to allow ourselves to just process and go. There are levels to ascension. You will feel like shit in some of these, whether it's your physical body, whether it's your spiritual body meshing together on these different levels. And you have to allow yourself to kind of work through this stuff. But if you just sweep it underneath the rug, like, when are you ever going to deal with it? Or when are you ever going to address what's going on? Oh, okay. Yeah, I had let me know if you go back into the tribe, I'll approve you. But yeah, I did it on Friday. We had a tribe talk in on Friday and Friday night. And so that's what we were kind of talking about, just the levels. And it is, life, we get very serious in life because to us it's very real. Reality is perception. But it gets very real for us. Our hurts and pains are very real, right? You can't tell me I didn't go through this shit. I went through this shit. It hurt, right? So our life gets very real, but life is to be experienced. It's to We came to experience some of this hurt and this pain. I'm not going to say all of it, but a lot of it we came to experience, because without the experience of the levels of emotion, what is to life? If let's just look at this, right? If everybody was fucking happy all day long, what would you learn here? You'd fucking get bored. You would. Now, I'm not saying life has to be so tragic, because I don't believe it has to be so tragic. But what would we learn? What would you take away from your experience? This is an experience. What would you take away from this? If life was perfect and everything got handed to you, right? You had no struggle. You didn't have to work for shit. And we've seen those people that don't have to work for shit, that they're spoon fed. How fucking effective is their life? What did they really learn? What did they really experience? It's out of the harshness of life that we grow, that we create, that we get passionate, we get determined through this shit, right? Pushes us to be extraordinary beings. You have some of the most extraordinary fucking people in this life, but you listen to their story. They didn't come from this great life. They came from repression. They came from craziness. They came from alcoholic parents and all of this other shit, or drug addicts themselves. Through your experience can make or break you, but it's your choice at the end of the day. As a kid, we don't have a lot of say so of what's going on in our lives, or what we're supposed to be doing. But once you get to that adult age, there's no more excuses. There's no more excuses of why your life is shitty. You are the conductor. So if your life is shitty, it's because you keep driving yourself to a shitty place. You gotta understand that. Same with depression. You don't got to take yourself there, but if you keep deciding to take yourself there, you got to realize why. And it was a harsh realization for me to realize that I kept taking myself to this depressive state, but it was because it was familiar. It's what I knew. All I knew, that's all I knew. It's all I knew is to how to invoke this side of me, because I wanted to feel. I didn't know the happier side. And so it pushed me to tap into that Focus on the happy, create the happiness. Yeah, I've been there, Evelyn. A lot of times, even when you're exhausted. So there's times in this path where you just need to give your body a rest. There's a lot of things going on spiritually that we don't know or see. Um, there's a lot of things going on in the background that we're just not privy of, right? And so when you're feeling exhausted, get rest. If you notice that now it's been 2 weeks and I can't get out of bed, all right, I'm not going to say 2 weeks, 1 week and you can't get out of bed, then you need to look at it. Try to take a walk, push yourself to do something different, right? Because the thing is, you still have a choice. You still have a choice in those moments of feeling exhausted and tired, and I just don't want to deal. Most of the time, we just don't want to deal with what's going on. We want to fade away into the abyss of dream state so that we don't have to fucking deal with it. Um, exactly. We you can't grow into something stronger without this shit. Exactly. And I feel like we miss that. We miss that when we're going through it because we're going through whatever it is and we're like, "Oh my fucking god, this life is shit and I've been through all this stuff and it never gets better and blah blah blah." But if we didn't have these hardships, we wouldn't grow. We wouldn't be the people we are. I had a very challenging childhood. But one of the things I can say my parents taught me was survival. They taught me how to survive. Um, so if some shit was to happen, like really go down, I would be able to survive. I would have the techniques and survival skills to live without the basic needs of society. And I think you have to go back to a lot of this stuff and pick the good out. Pick what can you take from these situations? What can you keep that is like, okay, I'm going to keep this part and I'm going to turn it into a win instead of I'm going to take this and oh my God, my fucking parents and because of them, I'm shit. No, it's not because of them. No, as soon as we get into our adult roles, it's all on us. We have the power to change our lives. And I think when you guys are going to, like I said, I'm not telling you not to go to a mental health professional, and I'm not telling you not to get counseling, therapy, or psychiatric evaluation. I think you guys should all do what you need to do to make sure that your mental health is taken care of. But I do feel like a lot of you need to focus on your mental health. I think a lot of you just don't do shit for it. And our mental health is everything that we are putting into our body, what we're watching, what we're reading, what we're seeing. Read more books. Even if you read a couple pages a day, like you don't got to be the fucking super reader. Some people are like, yeah, I read that book yesterday. And it's like, bitch, that fucking shit was like 300 pages. How the fuck did you read 300 pages? Again, don't compare yourself to anyone. Read a couple pages a day. Challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to get up and do something different. If you are in your life and you feel like nothing is going right, or you don't want to get out of bed, or you feel miserable, if you feeling like shit, your body's achy, something has to change. But like I told you guys in the other live, one of the lives, I can't remember the one that we were doing, you got to get sick of yourself and your own bullshit before you really make any changes. That means you really got to step up and be like, you know what? I'm tired of being tired. I'm tired of being tired. And then you got to look at yourself and say, I'm tired of your shit. I am tired of being tired with you, which is yourself. And that's where you got to start to look in the mirror and have those really long conversations with self because you are creating your unhappiness. You are creating your depressive states. So if you keep going there, it's not no one else. It's not your children. It's not your spouses because you've created your life. And so you have to take that accountability for where you are and what you've created in your life. And if you don't see that and you're still blaming everybody else for your shitty lives, right? And I'm not going to say all of you because I think a lot of you that watch me are doing awesome and fantastic with your life. But there's a lot of you that I still see, especially newcomers, newbies that are coming on in. I see a lot of we're still blaming. We're still doing the blame game. It's still everybody else's fault, you know? It's still what happened to you. It's still the person who molested you, or it's the person who beat you, or it's the person who neglected you, or it's the person who quieted your voice, or whatever you've gone through. And believe me, I've gone through most of this shit myself. At some point, you have to take that responsibility and reclaim your life back. Get into the moment of understanding without, and I'm not saying that I wish any children to go through that shit, because I don't think we need a experience of being molested. I don't believe in that. But I feel like as an adult, there's a lot of things that we go through that is a part of our path. It's a part of strengthening us. It's a part of getting us to understand that this life is what we make it, even the good and the bad, right? The bad, you could take it how you want. The good, take it how you want. But don't get caught up in the poor me, woe is me, oh my life is shit, you know, because you actually have the time and space to change it. Um, a lot of people don't realize how important mental health is and how it affects not only you, but everyone and everything around you. Depression, trauma, and thoughts will be what is manifested. Yeah. I used to get in my very depressive states and I would binge watch Netflix. Or before Netflix, it was like, you know, I would go and get a bunch of movies from fucking Blockbuster or some shit. I've actually been Netflixing for a while, because even before streaming, I used to get the DVDs. So I would actually get like 4 DVDs and be binge watching shit, right? Um, so, you know, you have to start to understand the levels of your depression, right? And you have to start to understand what your depressive states look like. Because that's the other thing. Some people have just been doing what they're doing, so it's normal. They're not looking at it like there's a problem. There's not a problem, right? But anytime you're escaping, and we use this term when we were talking on the Tribe Talk on Friday, whenever you're escaping from your life, your reality, you're escaping versus um, thriving, right? That's how you know. That's how you know you're going back to these very depressive states, because you are escaping, not living. You're not living, or you're living through other people. It's not living. You're getting caught in this space of not wanting to deal with your reality, but it's your reality. So again, you know, depression can come in so many different ways. It's tethered and connected to so many things. If you find yourself still grieving, get help, because the biggest thing with grief, and there's no time limit. You know, Saturday the 22nd, that's the 27th anniversary of my first daughter's passing. And this week on the 26th, it'll be, I think, 14 years for my dad that he's been gone on the 26th. Um, so I feel like you got to get to a space of acceptance of their passing. You know, that's one of the biggest parts of grief. If you do not get to that point where you can accept that they are not here, you can accept that they've passed, however they've passed, right? Whether it be traumatic or not. And then you're going to always miss them. That's not going to change. The love for them is not going to change, right? You're not going to just wake up and be like, "Oh, I don't miss them." No, you're still going to fucking miss them. But you have to get some help. You have to get some help. Sitting in the shit ain't going to help. Like pushing it under or deep inside is not going to fucking help. You're not honoring yourself. You're not honoring them. So whatever's got you triggered, or what's got you going back to this space of darkness, is you got to ask yourself the whys, the harsh reality whys. Why am I in this space? Why do I keep taking myself here? It's true. I had to really look at some things. Even with, it took me 20 something years to work through my daughter's death, okay? I'm not saying that it's going to be overnight and you're going to wake up and be okay with some of this shit. I'm not going to say that at all, because it took me a very long time to get that to that space. It took me about 10 years to work through and heal some shit with my dad. So there's a lot that goes to it, but it's because we don't want to deal with it. We've been taught, or we've repressed this shit for a very long time. So you have to get out of that and we'll start working through it. It's the only way to release it, right? So get into your present moment. What's today looking like? I challenge you guys to just be in the day. What's the next 24 hours look like for me? Not 2 weeks from now, not a month from now, not 5 years from now. What does the next 24 hours look like today? What am I doing in this next 24 hours? Focus on that. See what's coming up for you. What negativity is coming up for you? What fears are coming up for you? What are you constantly thinking about? And journal it. I mean, journaling is the best part because you can look back and you can reflect. Damn, what was I thinking about all week? And you will see a pattern. If you do the work, like if you really do the work, you will go back and see the pattern and you're like, shit, I was that negative today? Like I had that many negative thoughts? Fuck, no wonder why I keep going back to this depressive state. You keep taking yourself there. So these are the steps that we have to do. These are the things that we have to start to put into place, because if you don't, then you stay going back to the depression. You stay going back to this very fucked up place, and then you keep asking why. You can't keep asking why if you keep choosing to go back there. It's like oxymoron type shit, right? Exactly. I don't believe anyone grieves in the same way. Yeah. You know what? I was talking to this with my daughter, and when like when my daughter passed, there was people judge you. People judge you. If you're not crying a certain way, if you're not losing your shit, if you don't act a certain way, people judge you. Period. All right. And so then when I was still hurt and people would realize that I'm still hurt, it was like, why are you still hurt? It's been so many years. And it's like, are you dumb? Are you fucking dumb? I would get pissed off. People would just piss me off. So I would just stop talking about my first daughter. Um, I just think people are very judgmental at times, and people don't realize, if you've never lost someone, you just don't realize what it feels like. And other times people feel and grieve differently. So someone expects, well, if I grieve like this, why isn't that person? That's not normal. I know, like me, I internalize a lot. Like I don't show it. I just don't. That's just me. Internalize a lot. So I would have to tell people, just because I don't look like I'm sad, I'm still going through some shit. Like I internalize it. It's inside. I'm going through it in here. But people are just idiots. People are fucking idiots, you guys, okay? And then you just got to stop explaining and just be like, I'm not going to explain this shit no more. There's nothing to explain. This is me. This is what I'm going through. This is what I understand. I'm done. And stop trying to explain it, because they'll never fucking understand. They will never fucking understand. They'll never get it. And it's okay. You just got to say, I'm done explaining. Yeah. You you have to release that, Debbie, though. You have to release that. The guilt, shame, and all of that. Make sure that you're working through that, okay? And Ali is a scammer. We're gonna delete. Yeah. And I just say, people just don't get it. And what I've noticed is that even when people have gone through similar things, they don't get it. And you could sit here and you can try to explain something for fucking ever, and they'll still not understand what you're saying. So I think at some time you just gotta stop trying to explain to people. You gotta just stop trying to get them to understand. I couldn't get people to understand why I was still hurting 20 years later, 20 something years later from my child. And it's like, really? But if you've never lost a child, you don't know that pain. You don't know how that shit hurts. You don't know how that shit affects you. If you've never lost a parent, you don't know how that shit affects you. You don't know how it feels, right? I mean, I feel like I was lucky in a sense with my dad. I was in my late 20s. I think I was like 28, 29. So I didn't lose him at a very young age. I wasn't in my teens. I had him around all that time. He wasn't the best dad, but he was still there. So I think a lot of people just don't really know how shit is, and there's this expectation on everything. Right. Good, Debbie, good. Yeah, there's this expectation of what people should do or say, this expectation of what someone should see and feel. And everything is individual. We are individual beings where no two people are going to fucking do the same shit. No two people are going to process anything the same. No two people are going to look at something the same, because we all have our particular perception and how we process it, right? So, yeah, don't let them piss you off. Just remember, people are people, and not everyone gets it. And I do feel like there's a lot of people who just like to judge and assume shit, which I think is like the worst things you can do, is assuming shit and judging shit. And I've worked through my own judgments. I've worked through my own shitty ass judgments on others. It's something I think with time and effort you can understand and work through. People can be mean and cruel. They can. Um, and I think at some point you just have to start separating yourself from those people.